how did you get into your first deal, and how do you balance it all, being a wife and everything else? How do you do all that, especially attending all the masterminding?
Yes. So at first, it was a lot of planning. Like the second question first, it was a lot of planning. I remember I had to kind of schedule, and I remember having a meltdown after I paid $30,000 for my mastermind. I came to my mom, I was like, what the heck did I just do? Like, how am I gonna do this? Like, I just pay all of my savings into a mastermind. How am I gonna learn a whole new career of being basically a finance expert, a Wall Street investor? How am I had a meltdown, and I was like freaking out. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take one day at a time, So I did this study. And then when it was time to take actions, I just became obsessed. That was the only difference between me and other students that take a little bit longer, is I didn't have time to lose. And I just wanted to start, see where I was going to go, with this. So what I did was truly organize, because I remember going in with the flow. I was like, okay, today I'm going to do a little bit of study 2 hours in the morning, And I remember just one thing, just organizing. And then second, just embrace the chaos, embrace the freaking chaos, because it's going to be chaotic. I don't know how many kids you guys have or how busy your life is. Just learn how to do things on the pressure and on chaos, on not the perfect. Let me make everything quiet. Let me burn some just lavender oil and let me study. It's not like that. Everything that I've done has been on chaos, on kids playing and crying. And I did a video the other day, and I'm gonna post on my Instagram, because it's funny, because it's exactly how I do it. I sit down and I start typing something, and my kid wants water, and I get up and go get. That's how it is. And instead of me kind of like complaining about, I just deal with it. I'm like, this is how it's going to do. Like I said it earlier, I wanted everything perfect to talk to my investors. And second, I was like, hey, I'm sorry, my kids are right here, but let's talk business. I have this deal, it's amazing, this and that. And then kids crying and things break. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. You go ahead. You tell me, that's embrace the chaos and be organized. It's kind of like organize your days. I have my mom's help, so it's amazing. My kids don't go to daycare because I still want to be a good mom and be with them, So one of them is going to start school. So then kind of this kid wasn't planned. So it's a little bit of a surprise, but I'm just going to do it the same way. I'm going to be breastfeeding a newborn and calling people. That's how I'm going to be touring properties. I think it's embracing the chaos and organizing and planning your day. And you need some kind of help. For example, when my husband is at home, then is when I do the quiet stuff that I had to. That's why podcasts and things like that, I do it at nighttime. So he's here. But during the day, I ask my mom to come and pick me up. So I go to her house, so then she can watch the boys, and then I can play. And then I take breaks, like 1 hour, I'm going to be calling investors. Next hour, I'm going to be playing with them. And then it's lunchtime. Then there's, like organize your days and kind of work around it. But just accept that it's not going to be perfect. Accept that it's going to be chaotic, and just try to do your best, So my first deal was actually 3 months into my mastermind, because I was dying. And I was lucky. That was the lucky factor. But it's funny because Brad Sumrock said it on his freaking last conference here in Dallas. He said it. Put yourself in a situation to be lucky. And that's exactly what I did. I hate to call it lucky, because I bust my ass to be here and to be in a position to be lucky, So the only lucky factor that I had was one of the investors that invested with me in my last flip call me and say, hey, I have $1 million. So that is kind of like the skyrocket my kind of like my start, So he's like, I have $1 million. I'm like, perfect timing. Guess what? Flipping. We're going to do something bigger. We're going to buy apartment complexes. And then I blew his mind with the whole explanation about, and he's like, why didn't we think about before? I was like, I know, but I'm here for you, and let's do it. So having the $1 million to invest in a deal kind of shortcutted me, and I got in a deal much faster. But I got in someone else's deal. It's not like I found the deal on the road and sent an LOI and got it on contract, got the financing. It was my mentors, actually my direct mentor deal. And I say, hey, I have a question. I have $1 million to invest from one of my investors. How do you guys, what should I do? Should I look for something and take longer? Because it was a 1031 exchange. So you have a short period of time that you have to do it. And he's like, hey, I have a deal, So it was kind of like my luck factor in there. But I raised another million. So it's not like it was just that, So that was kind of like how we started. So it was a deal that he just on the road and sent an LOI. So it was pretty at the start of it. Is a 40 units in Macon, Georgia. Georgia is hot, you know, and it's awesome because you can, I like tertiary, secondary markets, Class C to start. You know, like eventually, I always tell people, eventually you have to come out of this broken down apartment. But it's like the more value add you have, the more kind of like risk as well, but in a more upside too, you know? So it's kind of like a balance, but I don't want to be in Class C for much longer. Once I establish a good, strong base, I want to go to B, still value add in B, but I don't want to be like dealing with broken pipes and burned units and evictions left and right, you know, like you have to step up. And there are good, well, hopefully in the future is going to be more and more good deals out there, Class B, but that's kind of like how I started. And it was 3.2 million purchase price and 2 million raise, 100 or something on raise because it was a big rehab. And I raised 2 million, you know, so it was awesome. But I started with a bang. And then it's like, okay, now it's the second deal. And I'm like, how can I raise more money? And I only raised 150 for my second deal. So it's kind of like, you know, it's not like I can raise 2 million all the time. I wish I could, you know. So now what I'm concentrating on is getting more limited partners, people to invest with me so I can vet the operators and kind of jump with deals that are already kind of like on the contract. Because eventually I want to do deals on my own too, you know. So, but it's so complicated being new and being kind of still broke, you know, like I haven't made all this money yet, you know, kind of like the amount of money that I spend is not even I'm reaching assets, you know, but now my bank account, yeah, you know. So it's kind of like how I see it. And eventually I want to be able to purchase and operate deals on my own. But for now, I'm just going to ride this bad recession time and raise for other people's deals. That's kind of how I started, guys.